Alright, so today we'll be talking about a simple queue, which is like a data structure in terms of computer science. So, what is a simple queue? It's basically a structure that follows an order of operations, similar to like math. So, if you have brackets and you have 1 plus 1 times 2, 1 plus 1 is within the brackets, and that is multiplied by 2. First, you have to do what's in the brackets according to the order of operations, and then you have to multiply by 2 after you finish that. And that's what is similar to a queue. Now, a queue operates on a first in, first out basis, which means whatever you put in first must be the first thing that comes out. And with that same type of logic, you would assume that whatever goes after that is also what goes out after the first thing. And not to mention, a queue is also another word for a line. And you know how you line up for class or line up to buy something? Yeah, whoever goes first has to buy first. And whoever goes in last will usually buy last. And this is kind of what a queue looks like. You have the front. So the formal word for how something gets removed from a queue is DQ, and you have the back, and the formal word for something that gets put into a queue is called NQ. And you can also have the ability to look at the front and the back of a queue to see what the element there is, but that's a little out of the scope for a maximum 8th grader. So we'll just say that you can check the front and back of the queue or the line to see what's sitting there. And now some operations you can do on a queue. You can enqueue, which is adding an element to the queue, like shown here. You can dequeue, which is returning an element from the front of the queue or removing it from the queue, like shown here in this diagram. You can check. These are not as important. These are like luxury actions you can do. They're not. They're like They're like other actions you can do that are just not as important. And you can check with is empty, is the queue empty or not? Or you can check is the queue full or not? Or if it's at maximum capacity, which is the same thing. And now I have an analogy for a queue. And the analogy is food in the fridge. Now, it's a bit of a challenge question. Well, not really a challenge, but it's just something to get you thinking in terms of something more everyday. So if you have 7 meals, and you have meal 1 on Monday, you put that in the fridge. Meal 2 on Tuesday, you put that in the fridge. Meal 3 on Wednesday, you put that in the fridge. Meal 4 on Thursday, you put that in the fridge. Meal 5, Friday, put it in the fridge. Meal 6, Saturday, put it in the fridge. And meal 7, Sunday, you put it in the fridge. Now the question I'll pose to you is, how should you finish the meals? In what order should you finish these meals in terms of a simple queue? Now remember, a simple queue works on the basis of first in, first out. So which meal should you eat first? Meal 1, meal 5, meal 7, meal 2, meal 6. Which one should you eat first to follow the structure of a simple queue of first in, first out? Now I'll give you a second to think. Alright, hopefully you pause the video. And wait, no. And basically, it's kind of obvious. You eat the first meal first because the first meal is the oldest meal and you need to get rid of it before it rots. And then you eat the second meal because the second meal is now the first in, since the original first in has been removed from the queue. So the second meal now becomes the first in, and now it has to be the first one out in terms of the remaining meals. And you repeat that going down the line until you reach meal 7, and then after you eat that, you should be good for the week and you should have nothing remaining, and then you can restart the queue from the beginning of the next week. Thanks for listening.